think we could go ahead and start. All right, I'd like to introduce David Furry from ChampionX. David, if you'd like to introduce yourself further.
Sure. See if I can stand up. Most of you know me. My name is David Furry, and I'm with ChampionX now. A little bit of history is introduced the first OGI camera to the world in 2003 through my company Leak Surveys, and about a year and a half ago, ChampionX bought my company in February a year ago. Just anyway, and so part of that purchase was they would introduce, build us a new camera. I've been wanting to do this for 20 years, build my own camera. You know, I didn't think I'd be this old when I got it done. Here I am, still pushing along. And I keep thinking I'll be drinking Corona on the beach, but so far that hasn't happened. And I'll get there one of these days. I'll get there. So today, first of all, I think I only see one senior vice president. Shonkers is here. Sorry about because he's coming to this. He's here at the show. I wanted to tell you that, Champion is focused on emissions. We are, as a matter of fact, a couple of days ago, our CEO told us that the plan is to have for Champion to have the largest emission company in the world. So Champion is very committed to this. Like I say, one of our senior vice presidents are here. The other one's out there, and the CEO will be here this afternoon. And he's a great guy. Y'all come talk to him. He'd love to visit with you and learn about this. So with that, they bought my company. They bought another company called Scientific Aviation, and entered this market. So we actually built this camera in 11 months. From the time I walked into the door, the product manager, Paul Bonner, I don't think he likes me very much anymore, but we started pushing to get this thing out. So we actually built it from scratch from the time I walked in the door, and gave a soft launch on it in January of this year. Today is the first time the public's actually seen it. We've done some presentations, but the public's actually getting to see it today. This is actually the prototype. The final product will change as we develop now our product. We're planning on having those available in the fourth quarter of this year. The reason this is going to change is because I wasn't smart enough to be able to look at a CAD model and say, this is exactly what I want. When I got it in my hand, I thought, oh no, this isn't going to work. This button's got to go. This button's got to move here. So we've been working through all of those changes. And again, our final product will be out somewhere toward the end of this year, or in the fourth quarter. The core itself comes from, we actually use it in our helicopter. And it gives such a great picture. It has real high resolution, so it has a great picture. So we added a computer to it, added a battery to it, made it a handheld for the public. So I'll kind of see if I can figure out how to push these buttons. Is that right? Yeah. Okay, so for today, the name of the camera is called AURA. And the technology, one of the things we're going to talk about is customer service, how we plan to do those. Y'all come on in. And how we plan to service these cameras. And of course, any feedback, we'll take any of it. Not a problem. So this camera is a high resolution handheld hot midwave camera. And what that means is that the typical cameras that are on the market have NSP detectors, and they're cooled to minus 77 Kelvin, the same temperature as liquid nitrogen. This one's cooled about half that much. So that does a couple of things. One is the cooler isn't running as hard and as fast as in a regular camera, so it lasts long. The other thing is it doesn't pull as much voltage, as much electricity or amperage as the other. So the batteries last longer on these. And then of course this camera, that when we finish at the end of this quarter, it'll be class 1 Div 2, has an IP rating of 0.67, which will make it be a very durable camera for weather or dust, rain or dust. The other thing that's real important about this is the navigation and the positioning. This camera has a built-in GNSS antenna. It knows where it is. It knows its position. It also has targeting, and I'll show you some of that here in just a minute. The AI capabilities and augmented reality, that's part of the zones that we're setting up. Our goal here is to, Quad OB and Quad OC are coming, like that. I tell everybody it's like a freight train at the end of a tunnel. It's a light and it's coming straight at us. So our goal here is to make it where the people that are running the cameras, they can do their job as easy as they can do them. And then, but the company can still stay in compliance. So that's been our goal through all this. So we've made it all with that in mind. Appendix K, I know there's a lot of presentations on that, but that is more stringent training than an aircraft pilot has to have. So we're trying to comply with some of that too, with some of this to get it in. The viewfinder, of course, I'll talk about that in a minute, but it also has 3 times the resolution. So when you compare this to the cameras that are on the market, it's really no comparison. I had one guy tell me that, you didn't build generation 3, you built generation 7, where you see everything that's in this. Our camera has 4 times the pixels of the current cameras we're using. I know there's some more out there, but the ones we're using today, in other words, the 67,000 pixels compared to 327,000 pixels. The viewfinder has 3 times the resolution, as I mentioned a while ago. We have a wireless tablet that goes with it that has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. We have an optional lens. It's made in the U.S. and it has a lot of other technology and that helps you line this up. And I'll kind of talk to you about that in a minute. So here's the front of the camera. Let's talk about it. One of the things that's really coming on strong, of course, is quantification. At the moment, we don't have quantification in ours, but as I mentioned, we put a lot of technology into this, and we have a onboard computer. So we've talked to different companies that have quantification. We've interviewed them, we've gone back and forth with them, and when we find one that we think will be good enough job for us, well, then we'll just upload it to the computer. But one of the things that the advantage that we have is we have Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, and we can actually mount a anemometer on the pickup so we can get the weather at the station where you are. And that can be just Bluetooth into the camera. The other thing that happens is we have more pixels, so that gives us more information. All of this data is saved in every frame of that you record. There's on every frame. That's my water right there. It's what happens when you get old. You can't talk. So all that's saved as metadata for future use, and that also has, not only the weather and the other things of where it is, a location, but it's saved for future data for reports or things like that. It has the GNS antenna that I talked about on there. Has LiDAR to the target, the background temperatures, and ours is a little different on that in that we use a thermopile. So a thermopile actually takes the average of the background temperature instead of a crosshair. It takes the average. And of course, the camera, it also has an IMU, has a to know pitch and roll. It has a magnetometer in it so that if we lose signal, if we're in a building, it'll keep up with you. And all that's going to show. I'll show you how we use all that in just a minute. The tablet, we furnished a tablet with it. It's also class 1 Div 2 and actually it's Android based. So the tablet has a couple of features. And one is that when this Appendix K comes in, we can use that. The tablet has the same controls on it that the camera has. So if you're training someone, you can see what they're looking at. So you get into a hot compressor room or something, they don't have the camera set up correctly. You can actually say, oh, no, this is how you need to set it up. It needs to go like this. So the other feature of this tablet is as I mentioned, we have navigation. We know where it is, and I'll show you what that is in a moment. But the tablet also has navigation. So your maintenance guys can take that tablet. Let me back up. You can upload the data that you found during the survey to the tablet. You can take that tablet back to that specific spot that he saw the leaks and pull up the videos that he saw. You can see the same thing that the camera tech saw whenever he was doing the survey. So what that means is that if you have a leak there, and let's say it's a T, you know, and you know, we all tie those yellow tags on there and put the best description you can. Now he can go back to that spot and say, oh yeah, it's that, I see it's that T right there, and it's on the right side, I'll tighten that up. So we're trying to streamline that in the process also. These are, by the way, these are features that are coming soon, this part of it. So again, the tablet comes with it. There's also there's a similar to a tablet, but it's about the size of an iPhone if you want it. And it straps to your wrist if you want that instead of a regular full-size tablet. We also, as you notice, it doesn't have a screen on the side, which is, in West Texas, we hardly very rarely ever used it. And so when we built this, I thought, oh, we don't need that, you know, we'll just use the eyepiece. Well, come to find out up in north where everything is in the buildings, well, everybody uses eyepiece. So what we did, we adapted to that. We have a 1/4 inch hole in the top of it. We can mount that little screen that we were talking about. We can mount it right to the top and Bluetooth it into it. So we solved that problem with that. The other thing that we do with this is, anybody have any questions on that before I go to the next? I'll take 1 or 2 questions and then move on. Okay, so the other thing that we do is, you know, all the cameras have HSM mode. Sierra Olympia calls theirs the gym mode. And so what this camera does is it takes that gym mode and it overlays it onto the infrared picture. And then anything that is moving, it paints green. So our gas is, see if this will play. So our gas is green. Now you can see that the wind's blowing the leaves, you know, the leaves are moving at the bottom. So it's basically the HSM mode. I'm afraid if I push that again, it's going to go to the next, is it?
Yeah, unless you want to go back.
Okay, let me go back. HSM mode. So now our gas is green. It has a false color. Now, you know, don't get me wrong, it's going to take some learning how to run that, but you know, our previous tests have been really, really good with it. It's done really well. So, yeah, everybody knows the 60 gram per hour bottle that we use in the test in the morning, half propane and half methane. We set this up as kind of a semi-cloudy day, something like that. And this is from 30 feet away. We imaged the gas and was real easy to see. So we thought that was pretty good. So we went to 100 feet away, and you probably might not see it with the resolution of that monitor, but anyway, we can see that from 100 feet away. So what, you know, the rules say that, you know, what you test in the morning is how far you're supposed to be away from the components and stuff like that. So we basically eliminated that. Now we can see 60 grams per hour from 100 feet away. And I don't know if that'll play again or not. The other thing that happens here, and I'll see if you can see this little line right here on the side. This is actually an overlay. This high sensitive mode onto a gym mode. By the way, we call that the AURA mode now. So anyway, it's an overlay. So it actually distorts some of the pictures sometimes, but because we start with so many pixels, it still comes out with a very good picture. Oh, now, the navigation side. You know, the EPA, the biggest thing with them is consistency. You know, they took, and I don't know the exact numbers, but they took an experienced operator into a room and he did a survey, and then they took an inexperienced operator into a room and he did a survey and so, you know, they come up with a lot of difference in the two. So, you know, our thought is that, you know, we have to be consistent on how they do the survey. So what we designed in this camera is through the navigation side is, and we actually thought about this 20 years ago, is these are smart routes. So, quad OA, quad OB, all of them have your routes you have to set up. Now we take a picture from Google Earth and we say, yeah, we're going to go this way and do the survey. Now, does the next guy go the same way? Who knows? So this camera is trainable. You can take and set it in setup mode, in training mode, and an experienced operator can go through and set the camera up and set the site up, do the survey, set it all up, and it's saved in the camera. Now the camera that data can be transferred to another camera, or, it can stay in the camera, or it can go to the tablet or whatever, but he sets all of this up. And then let's say that, for instance, this number 4 is a compressor. At the back of the compressor, and I'll show you a picture of it in a minute, but at the back, any of these sites, we also have the ability to target what you want that next person to look at. That it's all set up into the camera. So when the next person comes along, after everything is set up, as I mentioned, we also have a magnetometer. So if you go in that building, we can track us in that building. Once this is all set up into the rules, all this is saved in the metadata. Everybody knows, it's all for audit purposes. You have everything. Then once it's set up, you can go and the camera tech pulls up to the location, and he pulls his camera up. The first thing he's going to see is a yellow line on the ground, and he'll follow it to his first zone. When he gets to that zone, then say it's the back of a compressor, then the targets are highlighted for him to look at. Now then, whenever, EPA, here we go again with all these new rules, but the dwell time, wherever that lands, we can actually put that into the system. And as these are looked at, let's say this group right here is within 50% of the screen, and you've looked at it, the proper dwell time, it goes away. So you cleared those. Now, we also have built, or are in the process of building, a dashboard that has it's a kind of a different level, but it can, as you do these, it goes into your report, done. And then just say that this one right here is a leak. Well, of course, you take your picture, take your video, you document all of that, boom, it goes into the report. So, as I mentioned, the camera's trainable. So if you get to this, like say the guy that was so experienced that knew everything he was doing, but he missed these 2 valves right here, you can switch it back to training mode, include those for the next survey, include them in. One of the things that's happening in our industry is, I was at a facility here a few weeks ago, and they had a lot of delayed repairs, and they were going through them, and some of them were on the fuel lines for the compressor, and that's not part of quad OA, the fuel lines aren't. And one of them was a condensate line, and that's not part of quad OA, but they found leaks on them, so they were turning them in, they were on the delayed repair. So now we can go in and target specific components of what we want you to actually look at during the survey. The experienced guy does that. With this, our industry is growing. I know, everybody's trying to hire. Not everybody has OGI experience. So now what we can do is we can hire people to teach them how to run the camera. They don't have to know the rules. They just know how to run the camera and how to run the software. So we can take people that aren't familiar, that doesn't know this is a flange. And believe me, I've hired some people that wouldn't know that. So, they don't have to know. All they got to know is how to run the software program and to do this. So the dashboard, let's talk about it a minute. We built the dashboard so that we have different levels. One is called the AURA Auto, and that's the one if you wanted this whole package, you can go in and it'll do what I say, and do that automatically for you and kick it in. We have a compliance software program that comes in from the bottom for your quad OA. And then we have, it goes into the dashboard, and when we get through with it, it will come out into an Excel spreadsheet for you to send to the EPA with our portions filled out. Now you have to fill your own out for the rest of it, but that part will be done for you. It also has the a summary, if your upper management wants to keep up with what's going on, they can go in and review everything that they're seeing there. Also, now before I go to the next slide, one real quick thing, I don't think I made real clear on this. The camera itself, we sell the camera itself with an SD card in it as just we call it the AURA Pro, is just as a standalone camera. And then all of these other features that I've been talking about are options if you want. They're not all one package. So there's different ways that you can approach this. And then the next thing is this is my thought. You know, there's always got to be something out there that we hadn't achieved yet. But my thought is that under the AWP, that where you have to do an annual method 21, is that you can take this same tagging process that we're using, it's electronically tags, put the P&IDs behind it, and then a person with the TVA can put a set of overlay glasses on and go out and monitor the stations by using electronic tags. That was a big thing about the AWP is that you had two different reporting systems in your plant. Now I think we can incorporate that together and put those together with the P&IDs. And that the software would have to do the same thing as you run your SIFR over. When it's checked, well, then of course it'll go into the program. But there's always got to be something out there that we hadn't reached yet. And I guess there always will be. And then my final stuff, this slide, you know, I pretty much talked about all of this. I've got one more slide and then I'll open it up to questions and hopefully I can answer them. But the last one is going to be, we talked about the dashboard some, but the last one is the downtime. We built this thing modular where we can take the screws out of the front of it, pull it out, replace their components, put it back together and get it back to you. Our goal is to either send you a camera or get you a camera out by the time it reads in 48 hours to get it back to you. That's the biggest thing that I've seen is downtime on cameras. It takes way too long to fix them. If it takes much longer than that, well, then we'll send you one of ours to use while you're there. Champion is an oil field company. You know, we've been doing this for a long time, and this company, I know my bosses are not going to be happy if, you know, service takes very long, because that's what we are as a service company. We get it. We're oil field. We're just like you, so we understand that. The other thing about this is I think the weakest link seems to be on our camera is the eyepiece. And so what we did on the eyepiece was we made it a plug-in. So if your eyepiece starts getting weak or you wear it out, that you can take the 4 screws out, we'll ship you one. Take the 4 screws out, unplug yours, plug another one in, put it back, and you're back in business to even sending it in. Service is going to be everything on this. With all these rules and regulations that we got coming and trying to make this work, you know, we can't afford to be down. We got to be running. So any questions on any of this? Did that scare y'all to death? Yes, sir.
The battery compartment, there's a screw that you have to pull the battery.
Yes.
Are you going to make that where you can charge that from an outside plug, or do you have to pull the batteries back?
Everything will have to be inside. I think by the intrinsically, they get the class 1 DF2 certification. And Paul, am I right on that? You want to answer that?
That's correct. So the camera will come, first of all, the battery life is about 5 hours on the battery, but the camera will come with 2 or 3 batteries of battery charges. So, but yeah, to meet the regulations, we have to include battery elements.
Okay.
But it has to be pulled to be charged?
Yeah, we do not charge it inside the camera.
Okay. Any others? All right.
All right. Thank you, David.
Thank y'all. Thank you very much.
So that's the best turnout I've ever seen for this room. So please make sure to sign in. I know there's a bunch of people in the back that didn't get a chance to.
I saw you earlier and I meant to come see you. I thought you come back. I do. I like your son. He's a great guy. Yeah, he's a great guy.
It's Take Daddy to work.
No, I actually saw him this morning at Starbucks.
Oh,
And
did you?
he told me you were, he said, I want you to meet my dad. I said, well, I want to meet your dad. So
Yeah,
You made it. Yeah, good to see you. Good to see you. Good job.
interesting. This whole area is interesting. It's foreign to me, but got a lot going on.
It is a different world.
Yeah. So, well, I'll tell him we spoke.
I will, and I'll be over there to see you in a little bit.
Okay.
So what do you think?